Hey everybody, and welcome back to FigFed News, the May through June edition. That's right, 1 month worth of results, including a huge thing. Let's start with wrestling news. Pedro Morales in talks with UWA Developmental. World War III 60-man battle royal took place, with the winner getting a spot on next year's roster. You're going to find out who that is at the end of this video, so don't click off until we're fully done with the video. But Power and Glory has signed with UWA Developmental. That's Paul Roman and Hercules. So they have signed. Will they be a part of the new roster? Well, we'll find out next video when we announce the new people. Stay tuned. As you can see, the rules, of course, are still there. It says that now I've upgraded the USA Tag Team titles, now exclusive to Velocity as well. So week 1, we have Sylvan defeating Don Morocco by pinfall. The Good Brothers defeat Rock and Roll Express by pinfall to gain another shot at the USA Tag Team titles. And Jake Gemini defeats Reggie to become the Hardcore Champion. Or the main show now is The Fiend, and Nathan Jones and Braun Breaker defeat Jimmy Uso and the Nasty Boys by pinfall. And Jesse Gemini defeats Hawk in a King of the Ring qualifier. Shinsuke Nakamura defeats Roddy Piper in the other qualifier. Brian Pillman defeats Owen Hart in the qualifier. And the main event would see Animal defeat Macho Man Randy Savage by pinfall in the qualifier. Over week 2 now is Jake Gemini defeats Sylvan to retain his hardcore title. Johnny Gargano defeats Simon Dean, Simon Diamond, and Spike Dudley by pinfall. And the main event sees Justin Gabriel defend his title against Chris Candido. Win the title. My bad. Darren Young defeats X-Pac, A-Train, and Heath Slater by pinfall. Cesaro defeats William Regal in the qualifier. Bob Backlund defeats Chris Jericho in the qualifier. Yokozuna defeats Jey Uso in the qualifier. And the main event sees Marty Jannetty defeat Cody Rhodes in the qualifier. Or week 3 now, though, is Norman Smiley defeats Giant Gonzalez by pinfall. The original Midnight Express defeats Doink and Reggie by pinfall. And Johnny Gargano defeats Jake Gemini to win the hardcore title. Over to the main show now is Jesse Gemini defeats Shinsuke Nakamura in the King of the Ring Final 8. Animal defeats Brian Pillman in the King of the Ring Final 8. Cesaro defeats Bob Backlund in the King of the Ring Final 8. And Yokozuna defeats Marty Jannetty in the King of the Ring Final 8. The main event sees Cody Rhodes defeat Chris Jericho by pinfall to become the new UWA Intercontinental Championship #1 contender. Or week 4 now, though, is Johnny Gargano defeats Jake Gemini to retain his hardcore title. Spike Dudley and Simon Dean defeat Rock and Roll Express by pinfall. And Justin Gabriel defeats Simon Diamond by pinfall to retain the TV title. The main show sees the Usos defeat Nasty Boys by pinfall. Brian Pillman defeats X-Pac and Chris Jericho by pinfall to become the #1 contender for the light heavyweight title. Jerry Lynn defeats A-Train by upset. The Fiend defeats Larry Sabisco by submission. The main event sees Cody Rhodes defeat Roddy Piper, Shinsuke Nakamura, Owen Hart, Marty Jannetty, and William Regal by pinfall to retain his Intercontinental #1 contendership opportunity. On to the pay-per-view now. The match card looks like this. You're going to have the King of the Ring Final 4, Match 1 and 2. The winners, of course, will go on to the finals match later on in the night. Brian Pillman will face Jerry Lynn for the light heavyweight title. Cody Rhodes will face Randy Savage for the IC title. And the Usos will verse Nathan Jones and Braun Breaker for the tag titles. The main event will see Batista take on John Morrison for the world title. Over to Velocity's King of the Ring as Spike Dudley defeats Simon D and Johnny Gargano to become the hardcore champion. Don Morocco defeats Norman Smiley by pinfall. And the Good Brothers defeat Original Midnight Express to become the new USA Tag Team Champions. The main event will see Chris Candido defeat Titus O'Neil to become the new UWA International Champion. Over to the King of the Ring now, those Jesse Gemini defeats Animal by pinfall. Yokozuna defeats Cesaro by pinfall. Jerry Lynn defeats Brian Pillman by pinfall to retain his light heavyweight title. Macho Man defeats Cody Rhodes to retain his Intercontinental title. Nathan Jones and Braun Breaker defeat Usos by pinfall to retain their tag titles. And Jesse Gemini defeats Yokozuna to become the King of the Ring. That's right, Jesse Gemini is the first King of the Ring. The main event would see Batista finally dethrone John Morrison and become the UWA World Heavyweight Champion. So here are the champions. As you can see, Chris Candido, since he is now the new international champion, choosing a different belt design. Batista also choosing a new belt design as well. And then World War III kicked off. And now, of course, the stakes on this were very simple. The winner of this actually gets a spot in next year's roster, as it hasn't been advertised yet, but 10 people's contracts are up. So technically, one person will be taking over for somebody whose contract is up. Once their contract has expired, they are no longer eligible for the draft for the next year. They can come back the following year if they get selected in the draft, but they get a year off afterwards. And so, who won? Snehal Singh. Snehal Singh survived over all 60 individuals, and the order of elimination starts from the top left. It goes over, so you got Damien, then Kerry, then Johnny, then you go to the next section. Once it gets down to the final 15, they all go to the center ring, which would be Farouk, Psychosis, Big E, AJ Styles, Kenny Dykstra, Sabu, Tully Blanchard, then Arn Anderson. Both the tag team was doing pretty well. Ezekiel, Triple H, Danny Basham, Bob Orton Jr., Haku. The runner-up was Kevin Von Erich, but Snehal Singh outlasted all 60 people. He will now be guaranteed a contract, and the contract, of course, will be determined via dice roll, not public knowledge. So who knows how long he'll be here? Will he be here long? Will he be here for a short term? Just gotta wait and see. But he's going to be a part of the new roster. And that's it. Tune in next week as we finish up with the last pay-per-view of this quote year. It'll be the Great American Bash results. Then you will find out which 10 superstars contracts are up and who are the 10. You already know Snehal is going to be there. Who are the 9 that are going to take their place? Find out next time.